The $500 billion tax secret. Wait, Sensei. A secret $500 billion? Is someone hiding a briefcase somewhere? Can we go find it?
Not a briefcase. It is money. Every year, countries lose about $500 billion because big companies move their profits to places with very low taxes. This money is not actually hidden. It is simply booked in the wrong place.
Oh, so the money went to the wrong place. Like, a delivery driver took it to the wrong house? Should we tell the driver?
Not an accident, Munmun. Companies do this on purpose. They move profits to tax havens because taxes there are almost zero. It is completely legal. But it means poor and middle-income countries lose the money they need for schools and hospitals.
But wait, if it is completely legal, then it is not theft, right? So why do countries seem so upset about it?
Good question. Legal does not mean fair. Imagine a store where rich customers pay one price and poor customers pay another price for the same product. It is legal, but it does not seem right. That is what is happening here. Big companies pay almost nothing while small businesses pay normal taxes.
So the solution is to make the prices the same. Just change the price, right? Problem solved.
That is actually close to what the UN is trying to do. There is a new plan called unitary taxation. It means a big company cannot split itself into many small pieces across different countries. One company, one tax rate. Profits taxed where the real work happens.
Wait, so if a company does business in 5 countries, it has to pay tax in all 5? That sounds like a lot of paperwork.
Yes, paperwork. But the idea is this. Instead of accounting games, the company reports all its profits globally. Then governments divide them based on where the actual economic activity happened, where the workers are, where the customers buy things. That is the real value creation.
So if a company sells phones to people in Brazil, but books the profit in a Caribbean island, Brazil loses the tax money. But with unitary taxation, Brazil gets its cut because the customers are there. Right?
Exactly.
Walked out? Of where? A building? Did someone forget to close the door?
Walked out of the talks. Refused to participate in the UN negotiations about global tax rules. The United States withdrew and told other countries to do the same. But no other country followed. They stayed at the table.
Okay, so the US did not want to do this. But everyone else kept going anyway. So why does the US not want to tax companies more fairly?
That is the question that explains everything. Different countries see this differently. Let me break down the incentives. A country with many big multinational companies is nervous. Those companies make huge profits abroad and book them at home with low taxes. If unitary taxation happens, those companies pay more tax overseas. Less money comes back to the home country.
So the US has a lot of multinational companies. Apple, Google, Microsoft, they all have offices everywhere, but they book profits at home. So the US government loses money if unitary taxation happens?
In the short term, yes. But now look at it from Brazil or India. They make products. They have factories and workers and customers. But the profits get shifted out. Unitary taxation means Brazil keeps more of the money from work done in Brazil.
So India and Brazil want unitary taxation because their workers do the work. But the US does not want it because US companies profit from the arrangement now. It is like, different players want different rules because they are winning with the old rules.
Munmun, are you listening to me at all? Actually, yes. That is exactly right. You just understood the core of international economics. Every country negotiates based on where it sits in the global economy. A rich country with big companies has different incentives than a poor country with workers making things. This is not about right or wrong. It is about structure.
So if a country is old and has a lot of retirees, it might think differently too? Because it needs tax money to pay for pensions?
Yes. Or if a country exports natural resources but imports manufactured goods, it sees tax differently than a country that manufactures. Every structural position creates different incentives. This is why global negotiations are so hard. Now, this is not new. The same pattern happened before. In the 1970s, when oil prices rose, oil exporting countries and oil importing countries disagreed about everything. Same planet, same economy, different positions, different interests.
So this is like the oil crisis. But instead of fighting over oil, countries are fighting over where profits are taxed. Same conflict. Different stuff.
Exactly. When resources are distributed unfairly, countries protect their own position. The US benefits from the current system, so the US has less reason to change it. This is how power works in global economics.
So what happens now? Does the UN just give up because the US walked out? Or do the other countries make a deal without the US?
The UN talks start in New York on Monday. They want an agreement by the end of 2027. It is modeled on the climate negotiations. Many countries together, making rules, signing agreements. One country cannot veto if the others decide.
Okay, so the US walked out of the climate negotiations too, right? And it did not stop everyone else from making deals. So maybe the same thing happens here.
Yes. The point is that the US cannot veto a global standard. It can choose not to participate. But if enough countries agree, it happens without them. US companies will still have to follow the rules in countries that adopt it.
So if Brazil adopts unitary taxation, then Apple has to pay more tax on Brazil business even if the US does not make Apple do it. Apple cannot avoid it.
Correct. That is the power of a global standard. Countries do not need US permission, and the bigger the standard is, the harder it is for companies to avoid it. If most countries do it, the company has to do it everywhere.
So this is about power. If you have power, you can block change. If you do not have power alone, you join other countries and make change anyway. That is kind of smart actually.
That is what coalitions do. Countries that are worse off under the current system team up. Then they have power. The current system benefits the US and other rich countries with big multinational companies. Change helps everyone else.
But wait. If this passes, will the US just leave the agreement? Like it did with climate? Can a country just ignore the rules?
A country can ignore it in its own territory, but its companies still have to follow the rules everywhere else. And if the rules are everywhere, ignoring does not help. That is the real power of a global agreement.
So in a way, the rest of the world is using their numbers to create a kind of pressure. Not war or fighting. Just making rules that apply whether you like it or not.
That is the nature of global governance now. No country is all-powerful. So coalitions matter. Agreements matter. When most of the world agrees on something, even powerful countries have to adapt. Now, what does $500 billion actually mean to ordinary people? It is tax money that goes to schools, hospitals, roads, infrastructure, money that governments say they do not have.
Wait, so if governments got that money, there would be more hospitals? More teachers? But it depends on other countries agreeing first?
Yes. Your education or healthcare depends, in part, on whether the UN can coordinate global tax rules. This is how interconnected the world is. Local decisions need global agreement.
I think I see it now. This is not really about accounting rules. It is about who wins and who loses in a system that nobody thought would stay this way forever.
That is exactly it. Every system has winners and losers. The current tax system works perfectly for rich countries and multinationals. It works badly for poor countries and small businesses. Change happens when the losers unite. The deep truth is this: money and power are the same thing in global economics. Whoever controls where profits are taxed controls resources. And whoever controls resources shapes the future. That is why a boring tax rule matters so much.
So even though nobody will read the UN report or understand the technical rules, it actually shapes who gets money. And that shapes everything else.
Right. The most important news is often the most boring news. Because boring news is about structure. And structure is what shapes everyone's life in ways they do not see.
So the news about the stock market crash is exciting. But the news about tax rules is actually more important because it happens for years and years.
Exactly. A crash is visible. A tax rule is invisible. But the tax rule affects more lives over time. This is why people who understand power pay attention to things others ignore.
So you are saying that I should pay more attention to boring things because boring things are actually powerful. That is weird, but it makes sense.
Yes. The world is run by people who understand structure. Those people pay attention to tax rules, currency rates, supply chains, things that are invisible to most people. That is how they stay ahead.
Okay. So the $500 billion tax question is really a question about whether the world will keep being structured the same way or change to something else.
And that question gets decided in a room by people talking about accounting rules. Not in a stadium by people making speeches. That is how the world actually works.
I used to think power was about who had the biggest army or the loudest voice. But it is really about who can make everyone else follow the rules they want. And the funny thing is, that kind of power is not stronger than the other kind. It is just quieter. And that is why people stop paying attention. But attention is where it all actually happens. So how is this story being told where you live? I really want to know. Tell me in the comments which country you are watching from, and what your news is saying. If you learned something today, subscribe. Sensei says it helps. I still do not understand how.